Coach, what are your interactions with Dan Snyder been like?
They've been very good, very supportive. You know, he's been tremendous. He really has. He's been around occasionally, and when he is, we visit and we just talk and converse. And he just wants to make sure we have everything we need. We have the things that we need to go forward and be successful.
Are you entertaining trade offers for the number 2 pick?
We are looking at everything. Everything is possible. Everything is an option. What we do, we're going to decide as a group, and we'll go forward from there.
Are you happy with the fact that your quarterback and main wide receiver have rapport with each other already?
Absolutely. Very, very, very excited about that. You know, it's an opportunity to have a group of young players that can grow together. That's one thing I find exciting, and it's one of the things that really kind of drew me to this roster is there's a group of young guys, especially in the last 3 drafts, that have played a lot of football out of necessity. They've taken their lumps, they've learned a lot, and now it's going to be up to us to teach and train these young men as we go forward.
Hey, Coach, what do you like about Haskins so far, and what do you want him to work on?
Well, I think one of the things that, you know, Dwayne's done is he's been around. I mean, you know, he's in the building. He'll pop by, say hello, and wave at you, and go get his workout in. He's been around a group of guys that do that, and so he's learning from their example. And one of the things that he and I talked about specifically is that he just continued to grow as a young man, as a person.
Do you already have a replacement for Jordan Reed on the roster, or is this what the draft is for this upcoming?
That's what the draft is for. You know, we've got to look at a lot of things right now. We got a lot of options as far as replacing the players that we've lost. But, you know, we'll see how things go. And, again, you just never know. Sometimes the answer's on your roster as well.
What's it been like getting to know Kyle Smith and working with him?
It's been very good. It really has. You know, I got a little bit of a background with his father, AJ. Kyle has his own way of doing things. He's got his own personality, and it's been really good. Kyle is a guy that's always looking to talk about things. You know, he's been great. He really has, and things have been very fluid with him. You know, as we've gone through, you know, we went through our roster evaluations, which we did February 10th. We went through the entire roster in all 3 phases, which I thought was very good. Then we turned around and you know, had our little prep last week for the combine, and he did a great job with that for all the coaches, for myself as well. He's a guy that does his due diligence. He works very hard, extremely hard, and I've been very pleased with it. I think our relationship is very, very good, very strong.
Although there's millions of Washington Redskins fans, there's hardly any conformity. They're at each other's throats constantly on, you know, Facebook, Twitter, other things like that. Do you believe your coaching and the fact that you bring a winning mentality can bring some conformity to the Washington Redskins fan base?
Well, I just hope the fan base comes back out and cheers for us, because, you know, we can't do this by ourselves. We need them to rally around us. We need them to, you know, support us. But at the same time, we got to put a product out there they're willing to come out and support. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be entertaining, and you know, it'd be good to have the fans behind us.
Ron, you said that you guys have looked at all 3 phases on the roster and come up with your assessment there. What is your assessment? Where do you guys feel like you have strong suits? Where do you all feel like you have weaknesses on this roster?
Well, we do have some strengths, and we feel very good about those strengths, and we're going to continue to work to develop those strengths. You know, a guy I used to work with always used to say, make your strength stronger. So we're going to most certainly look at all those things. We have several positions that we do feel we've got to add to. We're going to look at those positions. We're going to look at those positions in the draft and in free agency. You know, one of the things that in talking with Kyle and his guys, you know, we feel that there's enough out there to be able to try and meet some of those needs. You know, the big mistake is you got to be real careful that you don't try to fill them all just to fill them. You've got to make sure you're filling them with quality, and that's one of the things that we talked about as far as the free agency is right now. You know, it doesn't open for a few more weeks actually, but we've also talked about making sure that we've identified those positions, and we've looked at them, and we've had the coaches evaluate those positions for us. The names that are on the list that Kyle and his guys provided us, we've looked at those guys. And we've done the same thing with the draft. You know, we've identified the strengths in the draft. A lot of them do fit our need, so we feel pretty good about that as well. We've evaluated those.
Hey, Coach, your thoughts about the combine class without giving away too much? Anyone you
I think it's a good combine class, you know, and several positions. You know, and again, you know, you've got to continue the evaluation process. This is still early. One of the real good things about the combine that I truly do like is I appreciate the interview process. Unfortunately, I'm missing a couple interviews because of you guys right now, but I'll make those up. I'll call those guys and make sure I talk to them. Some of them will probably be guys that we may invite back on the 30 visit. Some of them will be guys that we'll go out and watch personally at some of their workouts as well.
Were you able to find common ground with Trent Williams?
Trent Williams and I have had our conversations. We've talked, and again, that's a work in progress, and we'll see how things unfold. But again, it's just a fluid situation.
Ron, how does you inheriting a roster, with a young quarterback like Dwayne, how does that impact how you view quarterbacks at the top of the draft too, or somebody that might be?
We're going to break everybody down. We're going to look at everything, and again, nothing is solid. Everything is fluid as far as our roster is concerned. We've got, we've got an evaluation process we've gone through. We know what we'd like to do, and we're going to go forward with those decisions, and again, you guys will see how it unfolds.
Coach, when you look at how some of the young receivers in the league are performing, like Terry McLaurin in Washington, DJ Moore in Carolina, do you feel like receivers are getting to the league more prepared than they were before, or do you think teams have a better handle on how to use younger receivers?
I think it's a combination of things. I think teams are starting to understand, how you use players, but I also do think because the ball's being thrown so much in college football, the receiver is learning to be an explosive guy. I also think the body types in the receivers are changing. I think they're getting bigger and stronger. I mean, there's a lot more guys that are coming up that are coming out, that are ready to go, and they're dynamic players. The guys I think that people are really looking for are these bigger receivers that are dynamic with the ball in their hands.
Do you look for bigger dynamic receivers from Division II or III colleges, so that way you can spend better draft picks in the draft from big name schools?
Well, I think the biggest thing that you want to try and do more so than anything else is as you go through your draft process, you just want to make sure you're drafting the best guy, whether it doesn't matter where they're from, more so than anything else. Now, if the guy is from a smaller school and you take him later in the draft or as a preferred free agent, yeah, you're going to spend a little bit less so you can spend a little bit more on somebody else.
Coach, there were guys in college spending 100 snaps at 3 and 4 different positions. You got a guy like that in Shaq. How much more important is positional versatility, especially in the back seven, coming from college to?
I got a couple of guys to tell you I like position flex. I really do, and I believe in it. I think position flexibility is huge. If a guy can play, and I always talk about offensive linemen, because if they can go tackle, guard, center, tackle, you've got something special there. And guys that do give you an option to move guys around, and also you won't have to tip your hand. Shaq was a great example. Here's a guy that could play the nickel position for you and cover and run with a lot of receivers, and then at the same time go back into the box and play the Sam linebacker position for you. That's an invaluable player. That's the kind of player that you look for in the draft, is a guy that has position flexibility.
Coach, when you look at that in Washington,
I think we have some guys that do have it at different positions. I think the closest guy that we have, this guy that I find very intriguing, is Cole Holcomb, a linebacker that they drafted last year that Kyle found out of North Carolina. He did a little bit of that for the team. He played out in space a little bit, came back into the box and played as a box linebacker. So, those are the kind of guys that you want, again, because you want that position flexibility. You also, if you don't have to rotate a guy off the field, if the guy can stay on the field, you can change your defense, your defensive philosophy and look almost instantaneously. But now you start rotating guys in, you tip your hand a little bit that, hey, you're going to your nickel package or you're going to call your nickel defenses.
You've been blessed to play and coach top premier running backs. What's your assessment of Adrian Peterson?
Oh, I think Adrian is most certainly will be a first ballot. I really do. I mean, for everything he's done and the career he's had, I'm excited to have him on the football team. We picked up his option for a reason. We believe guys like that have a value beyond playing. I mean, he's going to play some quality football for us, but who he is as a person, I think, is going to resonate with our younger players, and they're going to see that this is how you do it. And if you do it this way, you have a chance to have the type of career he has.
Quick follow-up. You said you guys that identified the weaknesses, but specifically didn't mention any positions of weakness. Do you feel good sharing those? Like what you all broadly think you guys can improve on the team?
Not necessarily. We have some positions that we're going to focus in on. I think the less people know about what we're doing, the better things will be for us. And so I'm going to be very careful with that.
Hey, Coach, the Super Bowl 50 had Tony Ely. He had a monster game. Do you think Montez Sweat has the ability to be that kind of player?
I think Montez Sweat can be an impact player. I really do. He's got the skill set. He's a young man that, again, we've got to work with. We've got to develop. We got to find the fit for him within what we're doing. We are changing our defensive philosophy. We're a 4-3 front, which basically we've told the guys that have asked about it that what we want is our D-line to play vertical. We want to attack vertical. We want to play the run on our way to the quarterback. And that's going to be our attitude and our philosophy.
That's kind of like Corey Peters' kind of philosophy. We play the run on the way to the quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah, gotcha.
Coach, how do you replace a guy like Josh Norman on your back end?
Well, I think the biggest thing, more than anything else, is going to be the style of the way we play. We're going to try and replace some of the guys that we have on the roster currently. We think we feel very good about some of these guys. We think these guys have the same type of skill set. The young guys that have to be trained. We got a bunch of fourth-year guys that just need to play football. We need to get those guys out on the field and develop them. Josh was a tremendous talent. When he came to Washington, he was at the time the highest paid. He earned that. When in Carolina, he earned that, and so I was very happy for him. But looking where we are, I just feel now's an opportunity to play a lot of young players.
Coach Chase Young is one of the best players in this whole draft class. How do you weigh the potential of drafting a player like that, or another team offering you 2, 3, 4 draft picks for the number 2 pick?
Well, before we do anything with the number 2 pick, we got to see what happens with the number 1 pick. So once that pick goes on, then we'll go from there. But again, as I said, everything's an option. I mean, we're as far as in talking with Kyle, we've talked a couple of times already what situations potentially be. But the truth is, we got to see what happens in front of us.
Coach, when you look at Dwayne Haskins and what you saw from him in his rookie year, and you go back and watch the tape, what do you see both the strengths for him and maybe some things that you'd like to work on throughout?
Well, what's interesting was, and I've told a lot of people, one of the things that I really go back to is the way he played the Detroit game. One thing everybody forgets, those early games before he became a starter, I didn't put a lot of stock into because those game plans weren't devised for him. Mm-hmm. But when you start looking at the games that they devised for him, then you try to see what they were trying to do with him, and then you watch him. And I've had a chance to go back and do that. I see some progress from the time he started the Detroit game to the very last game he played. I know he didn't play in the last one, but until he got hurt, you look at those things and you say, man, there's some growth there. There's some potential for a young man to be the type of player that he can be. But the thing that excited me about the Detroit game was the fourth quarter, the 2 drives when they had to score. He was very calm. He was very kept. And he put them in position to win a football game. And that's what you want from your quarterback, is a guy that gives you a chance to win, the guy who can help you win. You can win because of him, and you can win with him. That's what's exciting. He's got that type of potential, but he's got to grow into it. And nothing will be given. He's not anointed, that's for doggone sure. I'm expecting him to come in and compete and work, and we'll see what happens.
There's not another division that's had more transition than the NFC East. 3 brand new coaches this year. Is this division right for the taking?
I hope so. I think it's going to be an opportunity, and we'll see. But again, the other coaches that are in this division, I know who Philadelphia is, and we don't know who the Giants are going to be. We don't know who the Cowboys are going to be. But there's a lot of good coaches, and again, we just got to go out and compete and see how things happen.
Ron, what's the benefit, of course, to have assistant coaches you're familiar with, but in your case, you were able to get a cap guy in Rob Rogers and then Ryan Vermillion, the training staff. What's the benefit of having guys like that?
Joe, one of the things that I talked about was trying to develop a sustainable winning culture. We had a little bit of that going for a while in Carolina. We had a 5 good years stretch. Unfortunately, we weren't able to, through attrition, we were able to continue that. But that's the starting point. You want to put people around you that are familiar with what you want, how you want it done. And these are guys that were with me from the beginning. And so they have an understanding of what we want. And so we're going to go out and we're going to try and implement that. One of the things that we had to do, we wanted to do, was redevelop the trust in the training room. I couldn't think of a better person than Ryan Vermillion. I really, truly couldn't. I'm very fortunate. I'm going into my 34th year in the league, and I've been around a lot of good trainers. He really makes me believe that he is one of the best ones because of the way he works. Rob Rogers is a guy that, after having hired him, it's been really interesting to hear some of the agents and some of the league personnel tell me, boy, you've got a really good guy in Rob. I never really knew, but I'm working a lot more closely with him now. He's a guy that I know of and know who he is, so I'm excited about having him as part of it as well.
Hey, Coach, after switching teams, what are your thoughts on, frankly speaking, the outpouring of respect and also love people had for you and wanting to see you be with another team that quickly?
I was very fortunate. I mean, I was in the place for 9 seasons, and the one thing that we really did try to do is we did try to develop the right kind of culture, and I think that's what it speaks to, is that we did have the right kind of place. And again, some things happen that you can't continue. I understand that. I get that. But one thing we did try to do, one thing that I do want us to do while we're in Washington, is we want to make sure as a team we give back to the community. We support them because if we're asking them to support us, we're asking them to come pay for a ticket, then we got to give them something back in return, which we will do.
Coach, how do you feel about the 17-game schedule proposed for next year, and what is your assessment of the Rooney Rule?
Well, I think the 17 games is something that's up to the big wigs. We'll let the league handle that and the Players Association, but it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. I do think it's intriguing that they're looking to expand the playoff roster. I think that's cool. I mean, the playoff list of an extra team. I think that's cool. And the Rooney Rule is something that's a work in progress. Again, I'm a result of it. I've been very fortunate to be into that category. But I do think that we've got to continue to work it and improve it because I think if you look at it statistically, minority coaches have a pretty good winning percentage, and for the numbers, I really do. So who knows?
Coach, do you think Cam Newton could ever get that to that MVP level? Should he be healthy then?
Well, I don't want to talk about another team's players, but one thing I will say is I would never bet against Cam Newton.
Anything else?
We're good?
Go
Cool.
Bears.
Thank you, guys.
Go Bears.
Go
Thank you,
Bears.
Coach.
Go Bears.